it's the youths that we're taking there, and the job of the government is to take care of its citizens. We'll be taking a lot of young people to the border. We will show them what's happening over at the border. We will hike the border with these young people. So it's only fair that the government protect the people of this country. So through this medium, I'm calling for the BDF to protect the youths as they walk along the border, and we will be sending formal and official letters to them. And we hope that we get a response. But it is like a given. The youth, we've met with a lot of youths who meet me all the time and says, look, we want to go with you to the border. And Sticks, the guy from here, from Crim, he will be working with lots of youths from here in Belize City too. And we will be bringing them to Toledo District and spending the night. This is more than just a border. It's like interacting with the culture. Belize is so rich with different cultures. These guys will be spending the night in a Mayan village, eating Mayan food and drinking organic cacao grown by the Mayan people. You know, they other things that they have here in the city. It'll be a new experience for the youths of Belize City, and we want to encourage those youths to come and meet their brothers and sisters at the border, deep in the Mayan mountains. So that we're looking forward to that, and we're calling through this medium on the Belize Defense Force to be there. We don't have to. We are not asking them to swing no machete, because the youths will do that. We will hike the border. We just want them to be there to make sure that everything is safe and secure.
If I could just chime in too, to answer your question, Adele, I want to make it absolutely clear that when we talk about Guatemala, you have to understand that there's two Guatemalas here at play. You have the blood-soaked military oligarchy that is headed by its current president, Otto Perez Molina. His story is well documented. And you also have the indigenous population, the population that has been decimated through the 1980s through the military incursions, military exercises of the Guatemalan military on its own people, right? So when I talk about this issue, I don't want people to feel as though I'm talking about all Guatemalans. I'm talking about the military oligarchy there that has demonstrated that it cannot be trusted. It cannot be trusted for a number of reasons. The oligarchy in Guatemala is all about power. The power structure there is to maintain power. And as Will rightfully said, they utilize this Guatemalan unfounded claim on Belize as a political football. But you see, what we have to understand now is that the current president is under pressure. With the recent trial of the former dictator Efrain Rios Montt, which ultimately ended up showing just how untrustworthy the Guatemalan government is, because he was convicted on war crimes.
That was the judiciary.
The judiciary, excuse me. But then again, I think it was definitely influenced by executive level influence, no?
Kind of like Belize.
Well, yeah. But yes, the judiciary, well, they did their job. But there was influence from the executive that caused it.
The trial isn't over, though.
No, well, they restarted the trial. They restarted the trial after a guilty verdict. Well, it remains to see what the outcome will be. But that just goes to demonstrate that Guatemala cannot be trusted in that sense, especially when it comes to issues involving legal matters. We all know from previous cases, most recently the one between Nicaragua and Colombia at the ICJ, that the ICJ basically has no teeth. It cannot enforce its rulings. It's a classic example with Nicaragua and Colombia.
Yeah.
The decision went more in favor of Colombia, but because the ICJ seeks equity, so to speak, they granted Nicaragua additional sea rights. Colombia inevitably was not happy with that, and that's where it stands right now. Basically,
however, under the UN system, theoretically, there is a system where those security issues can be dealt with, but
it remains to
we
be
have yet
seen
to see how that would pan out in this case. No?
Precisely. And getting to the issue of what you asked in relation to how do we get rid of the claim,
That's a big question.
Yeah, I agree with Will in terms of the fact that this government-to-government thing is not working for a number of reasons. But one of the things I see that is a growing trend internationally, and especially with regards to this current administration, is that they want to litigate everything. And litigation isn't necessarily the most beneficial means by which to seek closure, especially when you're dealing with an issue as significant as Belize's territorial integrity. As far as we are concerned, there is nothing to litigate. Because when you go into a court of law, whether it be here in Belize or at the ICJ or where have you, there's something called litigation risks. And you see these attorneys who are also diplomats, who are also these individuals who are championing such a litigation. They'll say that, oh, yes, there is a degree of excuse me, risk involved. But they won't tell you what it is. And as far as we're concerned, the litigation risk here is far too great for Belize. Because in essence, if the ICJ, if, heaven forbid, if this matter goes to the ICJ, and the ICJ is called to make a determination, and if they stick to the way that they go about doing things, seeking equity, that definitely will not work in Belize's favor. Because in an instance involving our territorial integrity, we don't need equity. We already have what we have. So there's no need to seek equity. So that's just a tidbit of information that we want to put out there for the public so that they understand that litigation is not necessarily always the most beneficial way. Again, we advocate, as Will rightfully said, people-to-people exchanges, building of bridges between the two cultures. Because the indigenous people in Guatemala, I am quite sure, are not really pressing this claim. It's a political football used by the blood-soaked military oligarchy in Guatemala. And for some reason, which is much to our disdain, our so-called leaders on this side of the border seem to be playing the game. But as far as we're concerned, this is no game. This is serious business.
Okay, we're going to take our second commercial break, and then we'll come back.
This is a fact check.
We all have our bucket list and plan to start fulfilling them someday.
Anytime now. Don't worry, babe. You can do it.
Go, Mom! You can do this!
Why not turn someday into today?